Welcome, learner, to another deep dive. You know how this works. You bring the sources, the curiosity, and we dig in to pull out those key insights.
We hope you get informed without, drowning in information.
Exactly. And today, you've given us a real classic. We're diving into Dale Carnegie's How to Stop Worrying and Start Living based on the excerpts you sent over.
Yeah, and this isn't just like vague self-help stuff. Carnegie offers really specific, practical ways, he called them recipes, to actually tackle worry.
Right. You want knowledge that's quick but also deep, and that's what we're aiming for. We'll boil down the most useful strategies from Carnegie and maybe have a little fun with it.
Definitely. Sometimes you have to laugh at what worries us. But what's great about Carnegie is how his advice is rooted in real life.
Totally. He wasn't just sitting in an ivory tower. He looked at historical figures, Confucius, Churchill.
But also interviewed people like Jack Dempsey, Eleanor Roosevelt, Henry Ford. Real people, real problems.
And those adult education classes, he ran his worry laboratory. He saw firsthand what worked.
Yeah, that gives it real weight.
Yeah.
So, okay, part one, fundamental facts about worry. Where does he start?
He kicks off with an idea from Herbert Hawks, who was dean of Columbia College back in the day.
Ah, yes, Hawks. His big point was that maybe half the worry in the world comes from trying to make decisions before you have the facts.
Simple, right? But profound. Hawks apparently just wouldn't make a decision about a problem until he absolutely had to.
And in the meantime, he focused only on gathering facts. No worrying, just fact-finding.
He claimed that by the time the decision day arrived, often the problem had kind of solved itself, or the answer was obvious. He said it basically got rid of worry for him.
But here's the key part. Carnegie highlights getting impartial, objective facts, not just the easy ones.
Oh yeah, because we tend to avoid the hard thinking, don't we? Like Edison said.
Exactly. Or we just look for stuff that confirms what we already believe. Andre Marois nailed it. We think things are true if they fit our desires.
And we get defensive about anything that challenges us.
So it's not just about getting facts. It's about getting all the facts and looking at them honestly.
Which leads to Carnegie's 3 basic steps for analyzing worry. What are they?
Okay, first, get the facts. We just covered that. Second, weigh those facts and actually make a decision.
And the third, this feels crucial.
Act on the decision. And then this is the kicker, dismiss anxiety about the outcome. Once you've decided and acted, let it go.
Easier said than done sometimes, but makes sense. Dwelling is pointless.
Totally. He gives the example of Frank Sommer and his business worries.
Right, the 4 questions. What's the problem? What's the cause? What are the possible solutions? And what's the suggested solution?
And writing those down, answering them systematically, apparently cut Sommer's worry time in half.
It takes that big, vague cloud of worry and makes it concrete, manageable.
Exactly. Then there's Willis Carrier's method, the air conditioning guy.
What was his approach?
3 steps again. 1, analyze the absolute worst thing that could possibly happen.
Okay, face the fear.
2, mentally accept that worst case scenario. Decide you can live with it if you have to.
Right, take away its power.
And 3, calmly put your energy into trying to improve on that worst case scenario.
He tells that story about Carrier potentially losing $20,000, right?
Yeah. But by using this method, accepting the potential loss,
Yeah.
then working calmly, he actually turned it around and made a $15,000 profit.
Because he wasn't paralyzed by worry. He could actually think clearly.
Precisely. Worry just kills concentration, doesn't it? It scatters your focus.
Totally. Once you accept the worst, you're grounded. You can actually do something.
It pulls you out of that great gray cloud of anxiety, as Carnegie puts it.
Okay, then he brings in this other concept, living in day-tight compartments.
Ah, yeah, from Sir William Osler. The ship analogy.
Explain that one.
Think of a ship with watertight compartments. If one area floods, you seal the doors, and the rest of the ship stays afloat.
So apply that to life.
Exactly. Deal with today. Shut the doors on yesterday's regrets and tomorrow's anxieties. Live just for today.
Focus on what you can handle right now. He uses that powerful story of Ted Benjamino.
Oh, the combat fatigue story. Yeah, that was intense. Handling the records of fallen soldiers.
Yeah.
Unimaginable stress.
He was near breaking point. What helped him?
Focusing just on the immediate moment. He kept repeating a line from a hymn. 1 step enough for me.
Wow. Just breaking it down. Don't look at the whole mountain, just the next step.
It's about making overwhelming things manageable. One day, one task at a time.
Okay, so that nicely sums up the foundations. Part 2 then basically recaps these core techniques.
Pretty much. It boils down to those 4 rules again.
Yeah.
Get facts, decide, act, dismiss anxiety.
And that writing trick, if worry creeps back, write down the problem and answer those analytical questions.
Make it a conscious habit. Turn worry analysis into a skill.
Right. So part 3, how to break the worry habit. This is about changing behaviors. Rule 1.
Keep busy. Sounds almost too simple, doesn't it?
A bit, yeah. But he backs it up.
Totally. Think Churchill. Kettering people deeply absorbed in their work. They literally didn't have time to worry.
Churchill said, "I'm too busy. I have no time for worry."
And Kettering, developing the car starter, facing huge problems, but too engrossed to be sidetracked by anxiety.
It's about that deep absorption, like Pasteur in his lab.
Yes. It taps into a basic psychological law. The mind can really only focus intensely on one thing at a time.
So if you fill it with constructive activity,
There's less room for worry to grow. He mentions that Chicago housewife during the war finding relief by staying busy.
it's like Tennyson said, lose yourself in action, avoid despair.
The danger zone, according to Professor Marcel, who Carnegie quotes, is unstructured leisure, an idle mind.
Becomes a workshop for worry, fear, resentment. Nature abhors a vacuum.
So the cure isn't just kicking back, it's meaningful engagement.
Okay, rule 2, don't fuss about trifles. Oh boy, I think we all need this one.
Haha, yeah. Getting worked up over tiny annoyances. He tells that story about the guy bothered by rattling radiators.
What did he do?
He reframed it. He decided to think of it as the crackling of a campfire, something he enjoyed. Shifted his whole perspective.
It's about conscious choice, isn't it? And that Andre Marat quote,
Life is too short to be little. Powerful reminder. Focus on what matters.
don't get bogged down in petty stuff like Kipling and his weird Vermont feud.
Exactly, a cautionary tale. Okay, rule 3. Use the law of averages to outlaw worry.
This is about statistics, right? Looking at the actual probability of bad things happening.
Yep. Carnegie talks about his own childhood fears, lightning, being buried alive.
How to beat them.
He looked up the odds. The chance of being killed by lightning was like 1 in 350,000 per year. Tiny.
And being buried alive. Basically 0, even back then.
The point is, we waste so much energy worrying about things that are incredibly unlikely.
Lloyd's of London makes money getting against those unlikely events.
Exactly. They profit from the law of averages. He also tells that story about the U.S. Navy and the sailors.
During the war, with the tankers.
Yeah. Morale was low. Sailors were terrified of torpedoes, so the Navy showed them the actual stats.
What did the stats show?
That most torpedo tankers didn't sink immediately, or at all. There was usually time to escape. Knowing the real odds reduced the fear dramatically.
Facts conquer fear again. Which leads to rule 4. Cooperate with the inevitable.
This is huge. Accepting what you absolutely cannot change.
Like Elizabeth Conley, after her nephew died, she had to just carry on.
Find the strength to accept it and move forward. And that Mother Goose rhyme Dean Hawkes loved.
For every ailment under the sun, there is a remedy, or there is none.
If there be one, try to find it. If there be none, never mind it. Simple wisdom. Focus your energy where it counts.
He gives business examples too, right? Penny, Ford, K.T. Keller.
All pragmatists. Keller's philosophy was basically stoicism. Worry only about what's in your control. Ignore the rest.
Like Sarah Bernhardt acting with one leg. Adapt and overcome.
Yes, and that analogy about grinding grain.
You can't use water that's already gone down the creek.
The past is past. Worrying about it is futile. Like Jack Dempsey after losing his title, no regrets, move on.
Okay, rule 5 is about ingratitude, a common source of worry.
Oh, definitely. Feeling unappreciated. He tells the story of the Texas businessman.
Upset because his employees didn't thank him for bonuses.
Yeah, and Carnegie quotes Confucius, "An angry man is always full of poison. Holding on to that resentment hurts you."
So what's the solution? Just don't expect gratitude.
Pretty much. He points out how few people thank Samuel Leibowitz for saving their lives, or even Jesus for healing the lepers. It's rare.
Charles Schwab had a similar experience too.
Right. Carnegie says gratitude is cultivated, not automatic. Dr. Johnson called it uncommon among gross people.
Ouch. So the advice is...
Give for the joy of giving. Like Carnegie's own parents helping others without expecting anything back. Don't keep score.
Makes sense. Removes the expectation. Removes the potential disappointment. Rule 6.
Count your blessings, don't count your troubles. Actively focus on the positive.
Like Lucille Blake, facing a year in bed.
Instead of despairing, she deliberately listed things she was thankful for each morning. It changed her whole experience.
Dr. Johnson again. The habit of looking on the best side of every event is worth more than £1,000 a year.
A valuable habit indeed. And finally, rule 7 for breaking the worry habit.
Don't imitate others. Find yourself and be yourself. Authenticity.
Yes. He lists Chaplin, Bob Hope, Will Rogers, Mary Margaret McBride, Gene Autry.
All people who struggled until they stopped trying to be someone else and embraced their own unique style.
And that Emerson quote, "Envy is ignorance, that imitation is suicide." Powerful stuff. Be you.
Absolutely. Okay, so that's breaking the habit. Part 4 moves into cultivating a mental attitude for peace and happiness.
Right. And some of these build on what we've discussed. Rule 1, fill your mind with thoughts of peace, courage, health, and hope.
The power of positive thought, like Mary Baker Eddy's healing experience.
Or that student with the nervous breakdown who found clarity by focusing on his father's advice about inner attitude.
It's amazing how mindset shapes reality. He contrasts John Brown calm on his way to the gallows with the nervous jailer.
Or Scott's doomed expedition, facing death singing songs. It highlights the power within.
Milton's lines. The mind is its own place and in itself can make a heaven of hell, a hell of heaven.
Exactly. Think Napoleon, miserable despite success, versus Helen Keller, finding joy despite immense challenges. It's internal.
Emerson said peace comes from within.
Okay, rule 2.
Never try to get even with your enemies.
Ooh, tricky one.
Definitely. He quotes that Sue saying, walk 2 weeks in someone's moccasins before judging.
Empathy over anger.
Pity them, don't hate them. Echoes Jesus's teachings and Eisenhower's practical take.
Just don't waste mental energy thinking about people you dislike.
Exactly. Just refuse to give them space in your head.
Now, he mentions rules 3, 4, and 5 here are repeats, right?
Yeah, basically covering in gratitude, counting blessings, and not imitating others, again, reinforcing those key ideas from part 3.
Got it. So rule 6.
When trouble knocks, don't be there. Stay so busy with meaningful things that worry can't get a foothold. Like Margaret Yates, helping wounded soldiers after Pearl Harbor to cope with her own grief.
Or Carl Jung, observing that many patients suffer from a sense of meaninglessness. Purposeful activity fills that void.
And rule 7. This one sounds simple, but maybe isn't.
Act happy, and you'll tend to feel happy. William James's idea.
The psychologist. He thought you couldn't physically stay blue while acting cheerful.
That was his theory, yeah. He believed the physical actions could influence the emotional state.
Carnegie gives the example of the unhappy widow who changed by acting cheerful.
And H.J. Englert, who beat a grim diagnosis partly through determined cheerfulness. It's about deliberately shifting your state.
He wraps us up with the Just for Today program. 6 points for daily constructive thinking.
A very practical tool set for cultivating that positive mental attitude day by day.
Okay, moving on. Part 5 tackles worrying about criticism, another big one for many people.
Huge. His first point is a reframe. Unjust criticism is often disguised flattery.
Well,
People often attack those they envy or feel threatened by. He uses examples like Jefferson, Washington, Admiral Peary, all heavily criticized.
so if you're doing anything significant, expect some flack.
Pretty much. And remember, the criticism often says more about the critic's issues than your flaws, like the guy hating on Teddy Roosevelt's hunting.
How do you handle it, though? He mentions Connie Mack, the baseball manager.
Mack stayed calm, refused to discuss losses or criticism right after a game, waited till the next day, controlled his reaction.
And Eleanor Roosevelt's advice?
Never be bothered by what people say as long as you know in your heart you are right. Focus on your own integrity.
But he also says we should reflect, right? Matthew Brush realizing he caused most of his own problems.
Yes, self-honesty is key. H.P. Howell did weekly self-reviews to learn from mistakes.
So don't dismiss all criticism. Welcome the constructive kind.
Exactly. Like Lincoln listening to Stanton, even when Stanton called him a fool. Or Einstein admitting he was often wrong.
La Rochefoucauld said our enemies' opinions are sometimes closer to the truth about us. Ouch.
Humility helps. And if you feel anger from unjust criticism, Carnegie suggests acknowledging your own potential to be wrong. It can diffuse things.
Okay, last section, part 6. 6 ways to prevent weariness and worry. Keep energy high. Rule 1.
Rest before you get tired. Seems obvious, but we often ignore it.
Push ourselves too hard.
Right. But Edison, Ford, Horace Mann, they all prioritized rest. General Marshall napped regularly. The movie director found relaxing helped creativity.
Rule 2. Learn to relax in your spare time, consciously.
He mentions relaxing your eyes. And that story about the old circus clown being limp as a sock.
Practice relaxation in odd moments like a cat.
Exactly. Release that tension. Rule 3. Cultivate sound working habits. This is a few parts.
First one is about clutter.
Clear your desk. Only have the immediate task in front of you. Remember, order is heaven's first law.
Clutter breeds confusion and worry. Dr. Stokes linked it to high blood pressure, even ulcers.
Then deal with problems as they arise. Don't procrastinate.
And learn to organize, delegate, supervise. Don't try to do it all yourself.
Like that executive who finally learned to delegate and stop being overwhelmed.
Makes sense. Rule 4.
Forget yourself by becoming genuinely interested in other people. Shift the focus outward.
William Lyon Phelps' philosophy. Carnegie practiced it too, right? Giving compliments, showing interest.
Yeah, like asking the railway steward about the cooks.
Yeah.
Showing genuine empathy. Or the girl who became popular by just listening well.
Powerful. Rule 5. Throw out the stale yesterdays.
Don't try to saw sawdust. Don't cry over spilled milk. Classic Carnegie.
Let go of past regrets and mistakes. They're done.
Dwelling on them is pointless worry. And finally, Rule 6, my favorite.
When fate hands you a lemon.
Make lemonade. Find the good in adversity. Transform the negative.
Like Al Smith turning his stutter into an asset. Or Milton and Beethoven creating masterpieces despite huge challenges.
Kathleen Halter dealing with immense hardship by staying busy and grateful.
Yeah.
Or all those stories of people overcoming health scares caused by worry itself.
Like the doctor prescribing don't worry for ulcers. Or Rockefeller's rules after his health crisis.
It's about changing your mental attitude, finding the opportunity within the challenge.
Wow, that covers a lot of ground. Learner, you came here wanting knowledge, quick and thorough. We really hope this deep dive into Carnegie's How to Stop Worrying and Start Living has given you some really valuable practical tools.
It really is a timeless roadmap, isn't it?
Yeah.
Based on solid human psychology and just tons of relatable stories. It still holds up remarkably well.
Definitely. Maybe take a moment to think about which specific techniques or stories really clicked for you during our chat.
Yeah, and how could you maybe start applying just one of them, even a small step?
And here's a final thought for you to chew on. Looking at all those wordy habits Carnegie laid out, which one, if you were really honest, might be holding you back the most right now?
And following from that, what's one tiny thing you could do, maybe even today, to start chipping away at it? Perhaps reading the whole book is a good next step for deeper learning.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing your sources and joining us for this deep dive. We hope it gives you some fresh perspective and some real power over worry.